Welcome, writers, readers, and friends to the Authors Talking Bookish podcast. I'm Donna Norman Carbone, author of All That Is Sacred.
And I'm Hope Gibbs, author of Where the Grass Grows Blue.
We're two debut writers traditionally published by a small publishing house, bringing to you all the experiences that we as authors learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
We'll give you insights from the inception of a book idea to publication and beyond. And along the way, we'll share our love of books from the writer's perspective.
Hello, friends. Welcome back. This is episode 36, and today we are talking to Bookstagrammers about how they help us build an author platform. I'm Donna Carbone, and I'm joined by Hope Gibbs. Hello, Hope. How are you?
I am great, Donna. I am so excited for this episode because as writers, there is nothing more important, and I've said this over and over again, than getting reviews, especially from people who have platforms on Instagram. And so I am so excited because each of these women were instrumental in our debut process.
Yes, they absolutely were. And I'm excited to dig into how they got started and how they can help other authors.
Yeah, so I'm going to add everyone to the stage. We've got Suzy, we've got Caitlyn, and we have Christy. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, before we get started, we'd like to tell you a little bit, give you a little bit of background of who we're going to be speaking with today. So our first person is Suzanne Leopold. She is the creator of SuzyApproved.com, which is her website for sharing book reviews. Her platform is active across many social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where she has accumulated over 10,000 followers. She is also the founder of Suzy Approved Book Tours.com, where her community of bloggers across social media platforms support authors with book launches. Suzy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, next we are going to introduce you to Caitlyn Aresti. Caitlyn has been part of the Bookstagramming community for the last 2 years. Reading and reviewing books is one of her favorite hobbies. She works full-time as a high school English teacher. In fact, she works with me. So I'm super excited to have her here. When she's not reading or teaching, she loves to spend time with her husband and their 2 dogs, and they love to travel and explore new places. I absolutely love Christy's Instagram handle, which is Plots, Pages, and Puppies. Welcome, Caitlyn.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
And our final person is Christy Taylor. She worked full-time as a professional fundraiser for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital for 17 years. Now her passion outside of working are reading, spending time with her Labradors, and collecting and enjoying wine. I love that. A few months into the pandemic, she was inspired to create a wine and book page on Instagram, which quickly transitioned into a book page in which wine and bubbles are featured most days. And okay, I love this dog. I need to know more about this. And you have the most incredible logo, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it seems like we've got a lot of dog moms here.
Yeah. Yes, we do. I want to know, what's your favorite wine?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's really, I love the Plump Jack family. It's a Cabernet. And it's just, I love it. It's sentimental, but it's also delicious. And there's a lot of things in that family. So Odette and adaptation, and you can't really go wrong with anything in that family.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, we're going to get started. And I'd like to talk to Suzy first, just to find out, what is a Bookstagram tour and how did it come to be?
So a Bookstagram tour, Christy, you can chime in, is a collection of bloggers, and it's virtual. It's not like an author has to travel. It's basically reviews on Instagram. A blogger will sign up to review a book. An author will hire me to get reviewers for the book. And over a certain period of time, those bloggers will read the book and review it. And also place reviews outside of social media on Goodreads and Amazon. that they could also work on cover reveals and maybe the paperback launches of books, not just the hardback, but it could be a variety of things. There also could be a down price in a book. Let's say a book goes on sale and that author wants to gather sales for that as well. But it's basically on Instagram is where it resides, and some TikTok.
Yeah, we are so thankful for that.
Yeah, and both Donna and I did do your tour when we had our first book launches. And it was so important, especially when, you know, as a new author, you really don't have a community yet. And I even waited until about a month after my book launched before I went on tour with you. And that way it just kind of extended kind of that launch period. It kept the excitement up, because like every 3 or 4 days, a new review would pop up with great pictures. By the way, you have awesome reviewers.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be at launch date. So an author doesn't have to say, oh my God, I didn't do this at launch date. I always say that because of COVID, which was a very big 2 years for me, was keep your foot on the gas pedal. If you don't do nothing, you get nothing, but keep your foot on the gas pedal. I've had some people come to me, am I too late? No, you want to keep focused. You want to keep that book in play.
Yeah.
So
Christy, I would love to find out, how did you get into this? How did you become a book influencer?
I'll tell you, before I forget though, I want to say I took your book once I received it from Suzy on a field trip. And so we went to a nursery, and I was head over heels for your cover. I mean, your cover is fabulous. And so I was looking in my yard and neighbors' yards and looking for hydrangeas, and I saw some, but they just didn't have great colors. And so when we went to shop for some seasonal flowers, I took your book to this nursery and just found the biggest display of hydrangeas that I could possibly find. And that's been one of the fun parts of Bookstagram, is just, I love covers. And so when I see the covers, it's just, and wherever I go, I'm always looking like, where could I get a good picture for this? And so,
I love that. Speaking of which, you actually, I took this off of your Instagram. You did both Donna and mine. And I love, you just have such an eye for like finding the perfect picture.
It's just when there's fun covers to work with. And I remember that necklace. I was shopping on Amazon for something that would go with All That Is Sacred, because I love that cover so much too. So it was fun to try to find a little friendship necklace. So
yeah, our cover people do a good job.
They really do. And Of Lies and Honey is so gorgeous too. That's a really pretty one.
Thank you.
But and All the Time with St. Jude, we had a partnership with the Today Show. So I was really loyal watching the Today Show, and Read with Jenna was launched. And so I thought, when I was working so much, I never had time to read. And so at that point, I didn't know anything about Bookstagram. I didn't really know where to get started as far as what to read. So I thought, well, I'll just read along with Jenna, and whatever she picks, I'll read that. Well, one day on social media, I saw that she had reposted a post, and it was by this blogger, Giselle Reads. And I became kind of fascinated with Giselle's page. And so I reached out to her and just said, how did you get started? She had all these followers, and she was posting all these books and reviews. And so I started following her for book reviews, and ended up doing a tour, not with Suzy, before I knew about Suzy. And it was kind of unorganized. And I just thought, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if tours are for me. But that author happened to be Leslie Houghton. I just fell in love with Leslie's book. And so in getting to know her, I just mentioned I hadn't had the best experience with this tour. It's kind of unorganized. And so she said, well, let me introduce you to Suzy. And she said, there won't be any more unorganization. And she said, I think you'll love it, because you'll find out about books that you wouldn't have known about otherwise. And I mean, meeting Suzy has changed my life. She keeps me busy, and I am so happy. And just finding, she has introduced me to so many books and so many authors. It's just become such a passion. So all through Read with Jenna. And now I don't even really read her stuff anymore. I focus on Suzy's stuff. So
that's awesome. So at work, Caitlyn and I are neighbors. And so we frequently go in each other's rooms, and, we're talking about rooms. And would you tell us a little bit, Caitlyn, how you got involved with reading ARCs?
Yeah, so that was actually something before I even created my Bookstagram page. I had never heard of being an ARC reader. I had no idea what that meant. So that was actually, one of the things that I enjoyed the most. And Donna, you were the first one to kind of introduce me to what an ARC reader is. And that's something that I've really enjoyed. A lot of authors have reached out to my page and offered me books. And one of the cool things, not only being an ARC reader, is I'm also introduced to like many other genres that I probably would not have read if I didn't create the Bookstagram page. So I think that, yeah, I love being an ARC reader and just having different authors reach out to me and being able to do that. I've also read a bunch of books on NetGalley. That's another website that I've used to read ARC books. And yeah, I just kind of got introduced with Donna first, and then it kind of took off after that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
publishing my debut, and when you go in her room, she just has bookshelves of what she's reading and things that her students can read. And so we just got started talking about it, and she reviewed my book, and
Mhm.
I have loved watching your page flourish, Caitlin.
Yes. And
You have
Caitlin was
so many
nice enough
followers.
to also review my book. So it means so much. And I want to talk about your all's pages because I did a deep dive on everyone's Instagram. And so, Caitlin, you have such colorful, your page is so colorful. I love how you take the pictures of the book. Tell us, do you have like your own brand? Is this kind of what you lean into, the bright pops of color?
Yeah, so it's interesting. That's actually something that, not that I've struggled with, but when I first created the page, kind of figuring out, what is my vision? What do I kind of want my page to look like? And it's funny because even when I look through mine, you can kind of see like the little phases I went through to kind of try to figure out, what I wanted it to look like. And yeah, recently I think I've been focusing on, I want the focus always to obviously be the book. So I've done the color pop to kind of have a similar background, but then also let the book shine. So yeah, that's something I think it's still ongoing. I don't know if I'll always keep that, but it's something that I've been trying to, figure out. And I want to have a consistent look. So yeah, I've kind of just gone with the pops of color for right now.
That's
I
awesome.
love it. And then I wanted to talk, Christy. I mean, where did you get the logo? I love this logo. And this is your page. And you also definitely have a unique style to your page.
Well, that logo, Bookstagram is good for so many things, but I saw another blogger that had something similar. So I reached out and she said that she had gotten one done through Alicia Marksit. And she's not really a Bookstagrammer, but she does a lot for Bookstagrammers. And so she's just amazing. She said, just send me some pictures of yourself, of your pets. And she really can capture people and pets. She's super talented. So unfortunately, some of our dogs were seniors when I started the page. And so we've had a little evolution, but each time we've had a change in the family, she's done an updated logo. So I just think she's super talented.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's beautiful.
And then Suzy, just to not be left out, you have two pages. So, and yours, are you the one who takes care of posting, or do you have someone who does it for you?
I'm a one-woman show over here, so yeah. So yeah, I'd like to support also the bloggers as well as the authors. So I will repost every blogger who's not private. Some bloggers have their page on private, but I'd like to give them, I like to support them. So I will repost their posts on my tour page. I also have my Suzy Approved Book Review as a blogger, which is a hot mess right now because I run out of time. So I like to support the authors who have been on my tours, as well as, there's some books that I try to get to read or do book mail. And if a book is on sale, I typically, and you're one of my authors, I will get that up. Like I just did a post before this started. Anything, if you're a Goodreads giveaway, I'll send a message privately, but I try to support some authors I know if you've been on a tour through the Suzy Approved Book Review. And by chance, if I can, get a book done, which I try. But the tours, the beginning didn't take me most of my day, but most of my days now are with the tours. So at night, if I'm going to do something, it's going to be watching TV with my husband as opposed to reading at this point. I work out and then I'm working. So it's changed.
Yeah, you're
Empty
really
nest
good
is empty,
about-
but it's busier.
you're really good about supporting authors, because
Yeah,
I'm
I tried, yeah.
constantly seeing, the Kindle deals from authors that, aren't on tour right now, but have been in the past.
Yeah,
And
I
so
try to
we appreciate that.
I try
Yes.
to keep that going, yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's somebody I've met, I'm like, because I go to Thriller Fest, I go to different, book events. I'm like, oh, I met them. They should know that the book's on sale. So I try.
Well, that kind of leads to our next question. We're curious to know what your favorite genres are, and if you will review books that are outside of genres that you typically don't read.
I'll go first. So
Yeah.
historical fiction, I think, is always going to be my favorite genre. I just went to Poland this month. So I'm reading a lot of I'm reading a lot of Holocaust genre books. A lot of them are heavy, like they're not like the mainstream market, but I read outside my genre. Like I've read, who's the hot book, The Fire? What is that? The Yaros? Is that Rebecca Yaros?
Oh,
Rebecca
yeah.
Yarros.
Yeah.
So I've read that. I've enjoyed it. I will read outside my, I read outside my comfort zone. As I'm getting older, I'm liking like rom-com better. Like even my movie tastes are not as, I don't know.
Heavy.
You're going to see me watching like Hallmark movies soon. I'm changing.
Yeah.
But yes, historical fiction, thriller. Thrillers. But I guess right now I'm on a historical fiction, craze. But that might change depending on
Yeah.
my mood.
What
How
about
about
you,
you?
Caitlyn?
So I would say before starting my Bookstagram page, I would say the same thing, like historical fiction. I also love realistic fiction. But now thinking about this question, I'm like, I don't even know what my favorite genre is, because I've been exposed to so much. And like you were saying, Suzy, I love Rebecca Yarros. I love Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I can't wait for her third book to release. But that's not a genre that I never
Right.
read fantasy. I never thought I would like it. And, I read that. I read all of the ACOTAR books too, totally out of my like normal comfort zone of what I would read. So I don't even know what my favorite genre is. I just want to read everything, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, because I'm always adding books that I want to read. I'm like, I'm never going to get to all of these. But yeah, I just love exploring all different genres.
That's cool. Christy?
Yeah, it's the same for me. I love historical fiction. I love thrillers. I really enjoy some rom-coms. And I think that that's one of the best parts of Bookstagram, and especially Suzy's tours. I think your tours are really diverse. And so the fact that books that I wouldn't have known about, it's really gotten me out of that initial comfort zone. And I love that. I love just being exposed to even some horror that I never thought that I don't want to watch horror movies, but something about reading a horror novel, it's a ton of fun. And then just mixing it up, it just keeps reading fresh when you put a light one and then a heavy one and then a scary one. It's never boring. So I love that.
Yeah. So let's switch gears on how authors can utilize your services. Do you have any tips, like how do authors A, find you, B, once they do find you, is there something if they put in not just the book, maybe a bookmark, maybe a thank you note? Are there some tips that gets your attention from authors? Because we want to give any kind of, heads up we can to our fellow writers out there.
I can start if you want. So I would just say to reach out. I mean, most of the time, like I said, when an author reached out and just, telling me a little bit about themselves and about their book and, kind of what they're looking for, I think just putting yourself out there and reaching out is awesome. I also think I've been a part of a lot of ARC teams. So an initial author will try to, for their first book, get a team. And then after that, they reach out for subsequent books. So I think that's awesome too. I'm always excited. I'm like, ooh, they're coming out with another book. Like I want to be an ARC reader for that. So kind of, it sounds like what Suzy does with kind of building the book tour, doing something similar like that, I think is helpful.
Yeah, the same thing. In the beginning, and still like a lot of authors will reach out, and it's a wonderful problem to have, but Suzy, it just has kept me so busy and I love it. And so I send everyone to Suzy now. I see what she's done for authors. And so when an author reaches out at this point, it just isn't guaranteed. It seems like Caitlyn is very organized, but there are a lot of a lot of Bookstagrammers will say they'll do it and then they won't do it. And so I just send everyone to Suzy at this point. I just feel it's a very safe, good choice.
Oh, thank you.
You know,
I think we would both agree, right?
Yeah.
Christy, you're going to be busy this week. Watch those emails.
And Suzy, how do people get in touch with you?
So I don't have a form online. Your best bet is emailing me or, Suzy Approved at gmail.com or Suzy Approved Book Tours at gmail.com, or sending me a message either through Facebook or Instagram. And that gets the ball rolling. I don't keep my prices or my info, like I don't have a form because I vet my bloggers, which Christy knows. I that's the nice thing about me is that I know my bloggers. They know how I work, but I also vet the authors. I've had many times that I can't take on an author just because maybe they don't know Instagram. So to have I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail the author. And if they don't understand how Instagram works and they don't understand a tour, then that's not going to be a happiness for anybody, So I have to make sure that the author understands how it works.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't really do a form, because I have to have that back and forth understanding. It's a kind of, I'm vetting, but they don't know I'm vetting. And so it's just, I also don't want a strong arm. If somebody wants information from me and they don't get back to me, I'm not a salesperson. You either want to do the tour or you don't. You find somebody who you fit in better. That's great. I want the best for the book, but I don't want to do a tour and have somebody unhappy afterwards, especially a blogger and especially an author. Yeah. I have to feel that out. And I've done almost, I do about 200 tours a year. So I can kind of get.
Yeah.
And I have to make sure that book is a good fit for the bloggers, as well. And, I just want the best for the book. And if I'm not the person to do it, and if I feel that the author might not, if social media is new to that author, it might not be a good fit, or maybe they have to come back to me and set up an account and get their feet wet and understand what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So I don't want
I
to.
actually downloaded the Repost app so I could repost all of the graphics that people put up. I have to say, I was away on vacation both times I had a tour, and I just loved like getting up and seeing like some of those graphics that your bloggers post. They're just beautiful. And I was ultra happy with the reviews. So you do a great job.
Oh, thank you. But
I hate to say this. Our time is almost up. I could sit here and talk to you guys for another hour, but we have people who are writers and who are authors, but we also have people who aren't writers. They're thinking about maybe trying to be a book influencer, a bookstagrammer. Could each one of you give some advice, or maybe warn of a potential pitfall that they may not see coming? How were you so successful in being a book influencer? And let's start with Caitlyn.
So I know it sounds corny, but I would just say, just start, and you'll kind of figure out along the way, what you want your page to look like, who you want to target for your followers. And I think one pitfall that people might focus too much on is the follower count, right? I think people are really worried about having X amount of followers, but I think when you get to that point, it's like you're kind of losing focus of what the point of a Bookstagram page is, right? You want to get the word out. You don't need to worry about the followers. So I would just say, do what's authentic to you. Don't worry about the follower counts, and post what you want to post.
That's really good advice.
Yeah. What do you say to that, Christy?
I think this one thing about this community that really still blows me away is how helpful everyone is. And so just what Caitlyn said is just get started. And then for me, like I would just, people that I loved their style and just, I mean, my page has really evolved, and it is really in tribute to a lot of other Bookstagrammers that have done it longer than me. And I just ask for advice. And there are so many groups, not just engagement groups to help with the like boost, but I'm part of a couple of groups that we share tours and application processes, and just kind of guide each other along the way, and kind of learn from each other. So it's really just it's this community. I feel like everyone wants to see everyone else succeeding too. And so ask for help, just ask for advice. And I feel like most other Bookstagrammers will be more than willing to help.
And Suzy, why don't you give us your last piece of advice?
So, I started and it was just Facebook. So with Instagram, I think, don't worry about your count, as Caitlyn said, and don't worry about the books you don't get. It'll come. The followers will come. I finally hit 10,000. It's been 7 years. I mean, it's a hobby. It's not a job. And don't compare yourself to others. Just, I got to the point where I had to get a PO box because the book mail wouldn't stop coming. It'll happen. Let it go organically. Just enjoy yourself. It's a hobby, and it's not a competition.
That's good advice. Yeah.
So Donna, do you want to tell everyone real quick about our next episode?
Sure. Our next episode is going to be how to make the most of the holidays as an author with your book marketing.
I love it. And everyone, real quick, I want to go through. Caitlyn, where can we find you?
So you can find me on Instagram on Platts, Pages, and Puppies.
Love it. And Suzy, where can we find you?
Suzy Approved Book Tours.com or Suzy Approved Book Reviews.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, WordPress.
And Christy?
Mine's all Instagram, and it's CMT Loves Wine and Books.
Well, ladies, thank you so much. This was such an interesting conversation, and we appreciate your time and what you do for authors.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Being here.
And as always, you can find us at authorstalkingbookish.com on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and YouTube. And everyone, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hope Gibbs.
And I'm Donna Norman Carbone. It's time for you to get to work.
We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with another tip from your author friends.